A plan?
Senator, we do have a plan, and we have been implementing a public information campaign. Definitely, we do need to do a better job of that, and I think that is part of what we have tasked General Howard with working through. On your second question, we do have an investigation underway on the specific circumstances of what happened on Saturday, and once that is completed, we will take appropriate action.
Thank you. Representative Tokioka, followed by Senator Wakai.
Thank you very much, Chair. Governor, thank you very much for being here. And we know it's been a whole stressful week for you and your team. But some of the questions that I wanted to ask, and I'll stick to this first one, is when they found out that it was a mistake, that a wrong computer button was pressed with a mouse, when they found that out, why did it take 15 minutes to clear it and send the other message out to the general public? Because if it happened and they found out it was a mistake, why couldn't why couldn't it have been done sooner to alert everybody that it was a false alarm, we're sorry? Because they knew at that point that they hit the wrong button, it was a false alarm. And I'm sure in 15 minutes time, it's not something that happened before, and whoever did it and the team involved, it's kind of a what do we do now mode. And I think one of the things that happened is everybody is now aware that we better be prepared because we were not prepared. So why did it take 15 minutes to get the word out that it was a false alarm?
Certainly, Representative and General Miyagi will be going through the detailed timeline of the efforts made to contact media and others. I'm not exactly certain what your day was, but I can tell you my cell phone exploded. Making calls to various members in the emergency management team, receiving incoming calls, making calls to various members that I believe needed to be contacted. So clearly, all of those things are happening for all the personnel. They will go through the detailed timelines. You'll see that they did make contact with media in a much shorter window of time. And clearly, the 38 minutes to resend the second cell message was much too long, but we have already implemented a process to ensure that we would be able to send that cancel message or false alert message immediately after the error is discovered.
Okay, and so if whether it's General Miyagi or you can share that with the public at some point during this hearing.
He definitely, General Miyagi will be going through the specific timeline of that data.
And General, thank you for the layout of the time period. But I know people were not happy, but they want to know if it happened again, how we're going to stop it, and hopefully it never happens again. Because in that time, people were praying and families, and we don't have to belabor that point. But that's why people are frustrated. So if we can answer that question and ensure the public that it's corrected, then that's what our responsibility to communicate that message back to the public is.
Absolutely. And General Miyagi will be going through that. I can assure you that changes have already been implemented to assure that Saturday's event will not be repeated.
Thank you.
Senator Wakai, followed by Representative Cregan.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Governor.
Morning.
I look at public safety as a core government service, and the state of Hawaii failed miserably on Saturday. I appreciate all the effort that is going into rebound and learn from that. From a budgetary standpoint, though, do you imagine that what the plan is to fix these and safeguard the process will be done within the current budget, or what are your expectations in terms of asking us to help fund whatever plans are necessary?
The purpose of getting a preliminary response back from General Hara in 30 days is so that we would have the opportunity to discuss it with all of you about what specific corrections and improvements are identified in that system. So we would have the opportunity to discuss funding, if as required, on making those improvements.
So there's going to be an expectation before the end of this legislative session. There's going to be some, I would imagine, substantial ask for us to upgrade the systems that failed on Saturday.
Certainly, we would present that information with you. We expect that you'll be working with us, so there wouldn't be a explicit surprise. As we identify systems that need to be upgraded, we certainly will be sharing that with all of you.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Representative Cregan, followed by Senator Ruderman.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Governor, for coming in. So my question is, I'm in Kau. I wasn't considering myself a particular risk. When this happened, I assumed that it was probably a false alarm, but I couldn't be sure of that because we couldn't reach anybody. The phones weren't working. We weren't receiving alerts. And my constituents were really upset because, in the middle of this, they might get an alert or someone might get an alert, but they couldn't reach out to anyone, their families or anyone else, to find out what was going on. So I hope that somehow the phone system could be programmed so that even if you can't get through during an event like this, that you would be somehow notified, that this is either the real thing or an alert, even though you can't reach, your call may not go through to whoever you're trying to call. You will be said, this is, immediately you'll know this is the real thing or it's not. Because people were trying to call frantically all over the state. The phones were jammed, right? But there must be a way for when you call in, if you can't get through whatever that circuit could tell you this is, the real thing or not. Anyway, thank you.
Certainly, I think one of the lessons learned in this event was that we really need to look at all of the modern channels of communication that we have available to us as a community, and really look at how we can integrate all of them into our alert and warning system so that we can share information with the public in a more expedient and timely manner. And certainly that is one of the areas that we will be looking at. How can we add other channels of communication into the system so that we can share information as broadly as possible with the entire community?
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Senator Ruderman, followed by Representative DeCoit.
Thank you. Good morning, Governor, and thanks for being here. Hawaii County Police Department spokesman tells us that Hawaii County Police got official notification that it was a false alarm at 8:30 a.m. At a previous hearing, the state made note of having informed Honolulu Police Department within minutes. So my question is, and I realize it's perhaps not you to answer this, Governor, but my question is, why did it take another 20 minutes after the Honolulu Police Department was notified for somebody to call Hawaii County Police? It seems like we should be on that same list at approximately the same time frame.
I think as General Miyagi goes through the timeline, he will be able to tell you about Hawaii Emergency Management Agency's efforts to inform the public systemically as they went through the process. We did, and I have had conversations directly with Chief Ballard at Honolulu Police Department, and she took the initiative. Once she received that alert, she did know people directly in PACOM, and she exercised her initiative to make direct contact and was able to get through to them. So she found out directly from PACOM that there was no incoming missile and that the alert was false, and then she took action to inform the public. We did later on contact HPD as we were going through all the county emergency response systems throughout the system.
Thank you, Governor.
Yes.
Thank you. Representative DeCoit, followed by Senator Keith Agaran.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Governor, for being here. Those of the rural areas on the neighbor islands, information was real sketchy. I didn't receive the alert. My family or all around me did. But, I wanted to move towards FEMA. And I wanted to know if there's conversation, since FEMA's mission is to support our citizens and first responders to ensure that a nation, as we work together to build, sustain, and improve our capabilities to prepare, protect against, and to respond and recover and mitigate all hazards. What is